Good morning, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank the Southwest Conservation District for the 39th annual conference that we're having here. As you guys remember, last year we had it over in Durango, and I gave the opening blessing over there, and in the prayer, we prayed for more precipitation. And I would really like to thank the Creator, because our prayers got answered this past year. And it's really good to see that our mountains are looking the way they do, or the way they're supposed to look, all white during the winter and for a long period of time. Even though Chuck's kind of tired of the snow now, I'm still kind of asking for more, but that's me. I just like to see the rivers flow and our lands green and things like that. So I'd also like to thank all the panel speakers today that spoke, from looking at new ideas, new objectives, everybody that'll be speaking today. But I'd especially like to thank all of you, our partners, in how we're going to be moving forward. So today, this panel is Seeking Common Ground Along the Colorado River. So I'd just like to put that out to each and every one of you, whether you're elected official, tribal, state, government, or municipalities, but also looking at our water attorneys, our municipalities, our people in general from the upper and lower basin, so that things will be good for all of us as we start to move forward for the next 20 years. What do we anticipate? What's it going to look like? It's great that the last panel was looking at gray water, but what about, and that kind of alluded to the use of human consumption from a municipal side and then a gray water side. But what about the lands overall? So just my opening statements to that. So from that, I'd like to, let's see here. Start out with my PowerPoint. Tribes have a critical role in the Colorado River and the water uses, all the way along the 7 states, the 2 countries, and the 30 tribes that are within the Colorado River Basin. But there's 10 that are actually on the Colorado River. Ute Mountain Ute Tribe is adapting to the diminishing Colorado River supplies. It's all about supply and demand. Our population is growing. We're serving 40 million people in the Colorado River Basin, and it's growing. You see it in the bigger cities, the housing development, and all the different states. Where is the supply going to come from to meet this demand? So we have to rethink this. We have to adapt to climate change. We as Ute Mountain Ute Tribe are looking at our water rights. We have water rights, and we live in the very 4 corners of Colorado where our lands extend into 3 different states. So the Colorado, or the river compacts, the state compacts impact us. So how can I get water from Colorado to meet our reservation in New Mexico, or even meet the needs of our community over in Utah? So we're working toward trying to achieve long-term supply, whether it's the uses that we want to use it for. Any of the 5 uses, I don't want to be limited to just 1 or 2, as is mentioned and sometimes in the Animus Plata. So tribes have a critical role in the Colorado River issues. These tribes that are within the Colorado River Basin own about 25, I would say 30% of all the Colorado River. But the only thing that tribes are lacking is quantifying them. As Chuck mentioned, we have it on paper. It says this is a treaty, you have a water right. But to quantify it, tribes have to jump through a lot of hoops. They have to work with states. They have to quantify it through the states, and then it goes through a federal process, and then they finally get it quantified for their uses. Now, when we talked a little bit about Animus Plata, when it first came out, we had municipal, industrial, and agriculture, but a portion of it got taken out on the Reach Canal going over to Ute Mountain and Southern Ute. So the ag got taken out, so now we have abundance of municipal and industrial. I don't have a big enough community to use all of it for municipal. So how do I refigure this and work with the states and the federal government to make things work? Many tribes have not been quantified in some of their quantified tribal water rights and the constraints we have on the infrastructure and drought-related shortages. Helen came up earlier and talked a little bit about funding sources. The infrastructure bill came out, but there's 574 tribes in the United States that are federally recognized. Each one of them are government sovereign nations, and they each have a need for their water use. So really trying to understand here in the Colorado River Basin, how can we have access to some of this without challenging another tribe, but trying to look at it overall. We all have to have equity to water. So tribes need to work together with other water right holders as our partners today, as our conference today, in the basin to adapt both tribal and non-tribal water rights. So right now, non-tribal is kind of taking the lead in some of these stuff, and tribes are still trying to develop their water plans so that they can utilize the water for their future, for the kids that are not even here yet. Ute tribe is still adapting to the diminishing supplies, so when we're putting this PowerPoint together, I said, let's go back. Let's start from the history of where we're at as Ute Mountain. This top picture is what Ute Mountain looked like before Farm and Ranch came. The middle picture shows how Farm and Ranch came in. We mitigated it, looked at the RKEs, the environmentals, and we end up with 110 pivots there, 7,700 acres. The tribe is completing this water resource strategy plan that I asked the Water Resource Committee to look at. We've developed on the reservation what our needs are up to now. What is our future plans and how we're going to utilize our water and creation of the Water Resource Department that we created about a year ago. I have a good team going right now and really trying to look at what the future holds for us. Infrastructure is really important, but also the efficiency of the project. So out at Farm and Ranch, we've changed our rotations to look at better nozzles, better systems on our farming projects, getting better tractors that are more scientifically ran from the office, and then they can run almost by themselves with new technology. I invite any of you to come out just to look at the Farm and Ranch enterprise and to see where we are. A couple years ago, we only got 10% of our allocation of 24,000 acre feet. This year, we have 100% allocation of our water, and just following them lands for them years was really an impact to us. So now we're trying to get some money to take care of that, cleaning, disking them, getting them reseeded. That takes money, as you know, as farmers and ranchers, that it takes time and some funding, and we're glad to access some of the funds that are there. That includes testing the water efficiency crops and monitoring and improving soil health and grid sampling to improve the water application rates. I think they called it in the newspaper desert farming for the Farm and Ranch, which has been really successful. We only got 8 of the pivots going during that time. A key focus of the plan is a 7,007 acre Farm and Ranch enterprise in Bow and Arrow, Brandon. We do a cornmeal project, and we had to buy cornmeal from outside of the Ute Mountain Reservation to keep our Bow and Arrow LLC going. So the tribe is committed to managing and diminishing Colorado River water supplies now to assure agricultural viability for the future of the Ute Mountain Ute tribe. Ute Mountain Ute tribe is adapting to changing climate. The tribe 2020 Climate Action Plan provides a roadmap for the next 20 years as part of the tribe's contribution to address climate change. The plan calls for improved water efficiency and the development of renewable energy. We are a fossil fuel tribe. We've been in oil and gas for pretty near almost 60, maybe 70 years, and that fossil fuel is diminishing and the reserves are going out. We are one of probably 60 tribes that are fossil fuel tribes. And right now we know that there's probably 10 more years of use of fossil fuels, but we need to move into renewable, whether it's solar, wind, even hydro. As Lake Mead and Lake Powell, the bigger projects, are utilizing that, but with the water dropping down to the levels of Deadpool, then we need to also look at outside of the bigger projects, but the smaller ones like tribes or water rights in these municipalities or irrigation, agricultural canals to put in some of these systems to help offset the lack of some of the hydro bigger projects. So we as Ute Mountain are looking at that. The tribe is also working to develop nearly 1 gigawatt of solar power and a large pump back storage. We're looking at the future and what it holds. A lot of our revenues came from oil and gas, but now we're looking at other projects to help offset the tribal members, because it comes off the resource of our reservation. So we need to give back to the people that gave us the authorization to go ahead and put these projects into place. The tribe is forming a renewable energy company to manage opportunities for the future for the Ute Mountain Ute tribe. The tribe's renewable energy projects are in proximity to any extensive power grid, could help supplement power needs in the Colorado River Basin. We have 3 right-of-ways of 3 major electric grids that come across our reservation, so we're trying to utilize that for the betterment and the future of our tribe. The Ute Mountain Water Rights Settlement provides certainty. The tribe's water rights settlements provide certainty for the tribe's future and certainty for other water users in the region. Colorado water rights are settled in the tribe. We are in the negotiations for New Mexico. We do have the Animas La Plata project and the viability for the Dolores project and the Farm and Ranch enterprise. So we have 2 water projects, the Animas La Plata and the McPhee Reservoir. McPhee Reservoir gives us about a little over 1,000 acre feet for municipal use, and we have 24,000 acre feet for ag use. And with the way it looks, this year's going to be a good year, but we need to still keep planning on conservation programs. The New Mexico water rights, we're in negotiations right now, and we're focusing on addressing needs for the renewable energy, which will be developed on the New Mexico side. Utah water rights, we're still in negotiations. I did meet with the water committee when I met with the governor, Governor Cox and his team, and we're trying to address some things on the ag side. We do have ag water a little bit down in Blanding for one of our ranches over there, Perkins Ranch, and we use a lot of that for ag. But what about the community of White Mesa? Right now, the community of White Mesa is next to a uranium tailing company, Energy Fuels, and they continue to bring uranium tailings to that White Mesa mill, and it's impacting the aquifer. So the shallow aquifer is already contaminated. The deeper aquifer, the Navajo aquifer, is what we pull out for the community of White Mesa. We've gone to USDA, got a grant to bring in a treatment facility. We implemented that. It's in place right now. And we're trying to just get the saying that equity, we should all have access to clean water. And we need to be able to not just say it, but put it into action. So even though this community is only about 250 tribal members, and the city of Salt Lake is a lot bigger than the community of White Mesa, we should still have the equality of access to clean water. So as we look at that, even on a political side, I could say some states can utilize the political system in a way to help get more money, but even us as small municipalities, small towns, small cities in the Southwest here, we should be able to also have that same equal opportunity as the bigger cities like Phoenix, Denver, Santa Fe, Albuquerque, Los Angeles. We too are people. We too have use of the same water. So tribes are sovereign nations, and sometimes when we look at legislation and stuff, we need to include them in legislation and advocate for one another so that things will be better for us. Ute Mountain Tribe is working to achieve long-term food security. That's one of the things we ran into through COVID, where we created a grocery store, and we're looking at food sovereignty. Farm and Ranch right now does a lot of alfalfa. We do a little bit of vegetables, but if we're going to truly become sovereign to meet the needs of our members, then why not create your own food source, food pantry, so to speak, to bring something back home and utilize on our local ranchers and people like that and our local farmers to help supply those. Supporting your local farmers, and that way it's not always going to the cities and stuff. I know that the need is there, but we also have that same need. So the tribe's plans to grow in food for the tribal store to increase food security. Farm and Ranch is helping to get that support toward us. The key management is working together. So with that, I'd like to conclude by saying thank you for giving me this opportunity to work with all of you as partners, as we start to look at envisioning what the next 20 years holds for us. It's something that will have challenges, we'll have disagreements at times where we disagree on something, but ultimately at the end, we need to say, yes, this is for the betterment of all of us, whether we're a small community, a big community, a city, a state, and tribes that need to be a part of this process. But always thank our Creator for where we're at. Thank our Creator for what we have today. Let's not take these things into negative stuff where we say, well, that one's getting ahead of us, that one's getting behind us, they're not moving, they don't have a plan. We all need to come up. If you have anything to help somebody to make them better in their plan and make it meet the needs of our needs overall, that's what this conference is about here today, is to come to the point where, yes, we all agree. Yes, even though there was a plan with the 7 states, and 6 of them agreed, California is saying, well, I'm not in agreement, even though they're over-allocated, we can make recommendations to them and say, this is how we need to move forward, because we do have 2 countries that rely on it and all the different governments. So with that, I thank each and every one of you for giving me this small opportunity to come up and speak to each and one of you from my heart and my staff that work with me to make this happen, and from my tribe. So with that, thank you.